Swallowed Star Episode 198. In the previous episode, after more than 6,000 years of silence, Luo Feng remains deep within the mysterious Star Tower, enduring unimaginable pain as the Blood River crystal fuses with his soul. What was once a test of endurance has become a torment beyond reason, his spirit stretched to the brink of collapse. Outside, time has not stood still. Xu Xin, his wife, receives a message Luo Feng had written long ago, one meant to reach her only if he failed. The letter brings both hope and heartbreak, as the family fears the worst. Even his teacher, Tru Yan, seeks answers from the Primal Chaos City Leader, only to learn that Luo Feng is still alive, trapped within the depths of the Star Tower. Inside that sacred place, Luo Feng's body trembles, blood covering the floor, his soul being torn apart again and again. Yet through the endless agony, one single thought keeps him from falling apart: his family. His will refuses to fade, clinging to the desire to see them once more. And now, as the 6,000th year arrives, his soul stands on the edge between destruction and transcendence. And the episode 198 continues. He was already unable to even think, as his soul was on the brink of shattering. Every fragment of his consciousness trembled, on the verge of collapse. Only a single faint thought remained, the desperate will to hold himself together. Pu Ti, the universe master who had been watching over him, sighed deeply. You are still fighting, but your soul is already crumbling. Child, you are too tired, just give up. From his vast perspective as a being who had lived since ancient times, Pu Ti saw the truth clearly. Luo Feng was merely a child, barely past 10,000 years old, yet had been struggling for over 6,000 of those years in this terrifying inheritance trial. To Pu Ti, whose lifespan extended across countless eras, Luo Feng's struggle seemed tragic, a youth clinging to life far beyond his limits. Luo Feng's body shook violently, blood dripping from his mouth, every breath a battle. He was like a fish cast ashore, gasping against death itself. His mind was almost gone, but his will refused to fade. Even if he knew death might only bring eventual revival, he would not yield. Pu Ti watched with a mix of admiration and sorrow. Impressive. The first candidate lasted 2,600 years. The second, 3,300, yet you've endured more than 6,000 years. His serpent-like tail rested heavily upon the ground as he gazed at Luo Feng's trembling figure. You should be proud, young one, just let go. But Luo Feng could not hear him anymore. His soul was disintegrating, every moment tearing him apart more viciously than before. He was already beyond the realm of reason, beyond even pain. Inside his fading consciousness, images of his past flickered. He remembered the moment he had immolated his soul to fight the golden-horned beast. He had been ready to die then, only to awaken to a new life within that very creature. From a mortal to a warrior. From a warrior to a legend, the genius of the Ganwu universe. The disciple of the Primal Chaos City Leader. The famed Blade River Emperor who had swept across battlefields and conquered countless enemies. And now, he was once again standing before the gates of life and death. If he succeeded, he would live on. If he failed, he would perish. Cracks echoed from his body as his skin split open, his face distorted by agony. He was caught on the razor's edge between existence and annihilation. Winds howled around him, pushing him toward death, yet his memories of his family, his love, his people, pulled him back, urging him to live. But every will has its limits. His soul was burning, torn apart by the inheritance. Still, one last whisper lingered in his heart: I wish. I really wish. He was like a man running endlessly on a highway, chased by an army of speeding cars. No matter how hard he ran, they drew closer, until they finally caught up. And at that very moment, a deep rumble echoed throughout the Star Tower. The countless forbidden spaces within began to shake violently. Countless undying beings stationed within the tower gasped in alarm. What's happening? Why are the spaces trembling? The colossal 9-light-year-tall Star Tower quaked as if struck by a cosmic storm. None of the undyings understood that within, the inheritance had reached its climax. Far away, across endless galaxies, deep within a mysterious green-lit palace surrounded by terrifying energies. A massive old figure over 90,000 kilometers tall suddenly stirred. His eyes pierced through the void, seeing directly into the star tower. The inheritance has lasted this long? His deep voice rumbled like thunder. Then, after a moment, he smiled. 1,000,000,000,000 years of waiting, and the Earth race has finally produced an exceptional warrior. He rose from his throne and vanished instantly into space. Back within the shrine, Pu Ti's eyes widened. Luo Feng's body had stopped trembling. His consciousness, which had been fading for years, suddenly stabilized. Against all expectation, the fusion was complete. The crystal of inheritance had fully merged with his soul. It was a miracle born of pain, endurance, and willpower. If Luo Feng hadn't possessed such a steadfast heart, he would have perished thousands of years earlier. Even the evolution of his soul midway through the trial had only bought him time. It was his final 500 years of sheer persistence that created the chance for success. Success, Pu Ti whispered, awe filling his voice. Luo Feng slowly opened his eyes. The world energy around him rippled, blowing away the blood that covered his broken body. His expression was weary but filled with joy. I've succeeded. I can return to all of you. Relief washed over him. Then, with his final ounce of strength spent, he collapsed and fell into deep sleep. Pu Ti smiled gently. He's fallen asleep? It's rare for a sector lord to fall asleep from fatigue. For undying beings, unconsciousness came from losing too much of their eternal body. For sector lords, however, the collapse of the soul meant death, unless it was exhaustion beyond reason. Like Luo Feng's case, his soul had gone far past its limits. Sleep was his only recovery. Time passed, 1 month, 2, then 3. Luo Feng slept on, year after year. 9 years later, his breathing was calm. He smiled faintly in his sleep, as if lost in peaceful dreams, dreams filled with warmth, love, and triumph. And when at last his eyes opened, the shrine of the star tower shimmered with light. Before him stood 2 figures. One was Pu Ti, his familiar guide and guardian, now sitting calmly, his vast power withdrawn. The other was a majestic being, nearly 900 meters tall, clad in green armor, with 2 translucent horns upon his brow. The very air around him seemed to hum with divine power. Luo Feng felt it immediately. This being's presence pushed away the laws of the universe themselves. He could no longer sense the cosmic laws that every warrior relied upon to comprehend their path. It was as if the universe itself bent before this being. This is the power of the great being, Luo Feng thought in awe. Even the laws are forced aside. No wonder he could create the 9-volume manual that defies the universe itself. This strength, it's unimaginable. The towering figure looked down at him with calm eyes and spoke, his voice echoing through Luo Feng's heart. Congratulations. From now on, you are the leader of the Earth race. You have the right to become an absolute warrior of the universe. Beside him, Pu Ti smiled warmly, pride shining in his gaze. Third Junior, congratulations. And that wraps up this episode. In this part, we saw Luo Feng reach the very edge of life and death, a moment that tested not only his strength but the deepest core of his spirit. For more than 6,000 relentless years, he endured the agony of the Star Tower's inheritance, his soul slowly torn apart, his consciousness fading into nothingness. Even when his body was shattered and his mind nearly gone, Luo Feng refused to surrender. He clung to a single thought: to live, to return to his loved ones, to continue walking the path he had chosen. Pu Ti, the universe master watching over him, saw both tragedy and greatness in this young warrior. Luo Feng was far too young in cosmic terms, yet his determination and endurance surpassed even the strongest of beings. He had already experienced one rebirth before, when he fused with the golden-horned beast, and now, this was his second transformation, a test that would decide whether he would rise to greatness or vanish forever. As the inheritance reached its peak, the Star Tower itself began to shake. Across the universe, ancient beings took notice, recognizing that something extraordinary was happening. Against all odds, Luo Feng succeeded. The crystal of inheritance completely merged with his soul. His victory wasn't just luck, it was the result of years of perseverance, pain, and unbreakable resolve. Afterward, he fell into a deep slumber that lasted 9 years, a rest his exhausted soul desperately needed. And when he awoke, he was greeted by 2 beings of unimaginable power, the Universe Master Pu Ti and a towering ancient existence whose mere presence pushed away the laws of the universe. This being announced that Luo Feng had earned the right to become the leader of the Earth race, and had taken his first step toward becoming an absolute warrior of the universe. This episode symbolizes rebirth through suffering, the moment when pain transforms into strength, and endurance becomes enlightenment. It shows that true greatness isn't given, but forged through hardship, patience, and unwavering will. Luo Feng's awakening marks not only his personal triumph but the beginning of a new era for his entire race. If you enjoyed this episode or found it inspiring, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the upcoming episodes in Luo Feng's epic journey through the stars. Thank you so much for watching. Stay strong, stay curious, and I'll see you again in the next episode.